I was diagnosed at the end of 2022. I'd had symptoms for several months,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a vague feeling that perhaps it was Parkinson's, but I'm a
Okay.
wonderful denialist. I've got a PhD in denial.
Okay.
And
Amazing.
I thought, well, I'd like to I had a holiday planned with my family in the UK. So I thought, well, I'll
Okay.
go to the doctor when I come back from the UK, which I did, having
Mm-hmm.
Googled as you do. And
Mm.
when I went to my GP, she did a raft of tests, which all came back reasonably normal. And then she said, I think
Okay.
I'll refer you to a neurologist. And I said, and what would you be referring me to a neurologist for? And
Yeah.
she looked at me and I said, do you think I've got Parkinson's? And she said, yes, I do.
Yep.
So that was actually quite validating in a way, rather than it being a
Mm.
shock. It was sort of like, well, clearly it's not my imagination. So, and
Yeah.
then of
Yep.
course the neurologist just confirmed the diagnosis. I had a number of symptoms, which when you join all the dots after the fact, I'd
Sure.
clearly had quite some time, but I've got
Yeah.
quite bad arthritis in my hips and in my back and neck. So I
Okay.
was just having ongoing stiffness, which was unrelenting, that didn't respond to pain medication, a
Yep.
lot of rigidity. Uh, I
Yep.
also had lost my sense of smell, but I had
Mm.
chronic sinus problems, so I put it down to that.
Okay.
I had a lot of anxiety, but I put that down to COVID, and I had to cancel a trip that I had organised over to the UK because of COVID, and I
Yep.
was desperately sad about that.
Yeah.
Constipation. So
Okay.
those were sort of the key things that I noticed.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And were you put on medication straight away, or did your doctor tell you to, explore exercise, or is that something that you just sort of did on your own?
Well, interestingly, right at the very end of the consultation, almost as an afterthought, he said,
Hmm.
"You might want to look up PD Warrior. They do an exercise program for those involved, those who have Parkinson's,"
Yeah.
which I did. I'm just so thankful because it was just before Christmas. I
Uh-huh.
contacted franchise people in
Yep.
Brisbane, and
Okay.
she was happy to fit me in for an assessment just before Christmas, which was
Okay.
absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
really from the get-go, I was very fortunate to be given a whole range of very specific
You're
exercises.
quite a sporty person in general, is that right?
I've always been an active person.
Yep.
I played tennis when I was younger. I've been probably walking's been my biggest exercise thing. I've been a
Hmm.
10,000 steps a day girl for several years.
Oh,
Uh, I
great.
don't do I don't do as many steps now. I sort of, change my exercise regime around to sort of fit in more with PD specific exercises. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm an active girl.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fantastic. And Brisbane's such a beautiful place to be out and about as well.
Well, it is, but not at the moment.
Yeah, okay. All right. So very humid, which would make exercising with
Yeah.
Lauren a whole sweaty, fun experience, right?
And well, indeed it does. Yes, I've been sweating, and when I say I've been leaking like a sieve, that's
Yes.
exactly what it's like. With a fan
Yep.
on and a towel beside me.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So are you doing her videos most days, Annabelle, or how do you?
I do. I do her videos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
Thursday is my PG Warrior Day. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm exercise. I've One of the things that I've found is for me, what's working for me is I regard Parkinson's like that's my job. So
Yep.
I work at it 5 days a week. I have a rest
Yep.
day on Saturday, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
back to it on Sunday. But on Sunday I usually do quite a bit of walking and a
Yep.
few and gardening. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's my job. Well, I don't know whether it's particularly common, but I certainly have uh, connected with two or three other people who have adopted the same approach. And
Mm-hmm.
clearly, it's an approach that works for some people. I mean, I guess it gives me a little bit more control over,
Yeah.
well, perceived control, I guess.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, the benefits, the research just, is so clear when it shows the incredible benefits with exercise. It's interesting that it was almost like an afterthought for your neurologist.
Well, it was, and I think that's probably an interesting thing that happens with a number of neurologists, unfortunately. I belong to two or three online Parkinson's support groups, and
Hmm.
a lot of people say that their neurologist has been less than empathic and less
Yeah.
than helpful in terms of exercise, whereas my neurologist, at least he linked me into PD Warrior, for which I'm just so thankful. And
Yeah.
I guess initially when I enrolled with PD Warrior and I watched the videos of Melissa who started it, and she
Hmm.
was really emphatic that you need to exercise every day. And I thought, oh God, every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It seems such a really big ask, but
Yep.
essentially I am exercising every day, whether it's
Yeah.
the online videos. I do a lot of gardening, housework
Hmm.
and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
I can incorporate all the a lot of the moves into that. So yes, I am
Yeah.
exercising every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, I think, initially when you're first diagnosed, there's so much to take in. And I mean, you can't
Mm.
take everything in initially. And when
Yep.
you look at the potential side effects that Matapar, which is the medication that I'm on, has,
Hmm.
it gives you the fright of your life. So for
Yeah.
me, I don't want to overdose or take too much too soon, and yet I want to
Yep.
keep my symptoms under control because I
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, these online support groups, are you connecting with people all around the world, or are they Australia based?
Well, there are three that I'm involved with. The one that I probably get the most out of is the Australia and New Zealand Parkinson's support group that was
Okay.
set up. I don't actually know when it was set up. It's been going for quite some time, but that's a really great support group, very practical. And
Hmm.
I've made some really good connections, including a lady who was an occupational therapist before she retired. I'm a
Okay.
social worker. And it
Oh,
just seemed
great.
that we had a lot in common. And I did
Yeah.
something that I've never ever done before. I thought, I'm just going to message her and suggest that we meet for, if she'd be interested in meeting for, coffee and a chat.
Yeah.
And we've struck up this really lovely friendship
Oh,
where
that's
we've got a lot
wonderful.
of things in common. We've both,
Hmm.
she's been diagnosed a little bit longer than me, but
Hmm.
she's only 10 minutes away. And she's the
Hmm.
first person that I've met with Parkinson's who lives locally.
Oh,
So
that's
that was
great.
really,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, sounds like you're doing all the right things, Annabelle, just to really take care of yourself.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And so what is it about Lauren that makes you one of her many, like I said, worshippers?
Well, look, she's got unbridled enthusiasm.
It's true. That is very true. Yeah.
Yeah, and and I just like her style.
Yeah.
She's she can be a little bit irreverent. But she's professional. She's
Hmm.
always smiling. She
Yeah.
doesn't mind poking fun at herself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she's upbeat. She chooses great music and great
Yeah.
classes. I don't know. She is just so creative with
She
the way
is.
she devises these programs. I don't know how she
Yeah.
does it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, yeah, she's been with PFP for a very long time. And you know, having these online classes, which we started, well, we had some classes on YouTube, but when COVID hit and we had to pause our in-person classes, we went online. So that's 5 years every week. She's been putting out
Wow.
one, if not more, classes, and it's just incredible, you know.
And they're all different. I mean, I did
Yeah.
one of her the other day, which had one of her patterns, and
Hmm.
it was very similar to a pattern that she had a few exercises ago. And my
Uh-huh.
body memory was so wanting to do that. And then I thought,
Yeah.
no, I've got to resist the urge. And I thought,
Yes.
how to do it? How can she even remember?
I know.
Just
I
amazing.
know. It's incredible. It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you found us. Did you just find us searching online, like you say, when you were looking for?
Just I just found you completely by magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
just scrolling
Yeah.
through Google as you do. So never
Yeah.
underestimate power of Google.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to know. It's interesting. We've had more and more participants from Australia, which is very good.
That's
I mean, I
great.
like it. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but I'm happy. But so when, I guess on the Parkinson's front, you, like I said, taking really good care of yourself. What does life outside of Parkinson's, the rest of your life look like?
Yes, I'm married. My husband is a Brit. He
Hmm.
emigrated
Oh,
to
that's why you've
Australia.
got all the trips back to the UK. I wondered what the connection was.
Well, not because of him really. I mean, his mother is still alive, but my
Hmm.
younger daughter is a speech pathologist and audiologist,
Oh,
and
oh,
she got her
great.
dream job with Cochlear way back in the late 1990s.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she met and fell in love with a British boy.
Yes.
As but I've forgiven them both. So she's
Good.
been in she's been in England now for close on 30 years, I suppose.
Oh, wow.
And she and her husband live in Derby, and they've got two children,
Okay.
14 and 12. And
Uh-huh.
then my eldest daughter is a registered nurse.
Oh,
Uh,
all in the health
she got
profession.
married sort of towards her late 30s, so she was a late
Hmm.
bloomer. And
Hmm.
she and her husband have got two children. They've got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Oh, great. Okay. Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
I lamented the fact that I was never going to be a mother-in-law, let alone a grandmother,
Yeah.
for so long. And then all of a sudden once they got married, the children just came yearly, so I've
Yeah.
got 14, 13, 12, 11. I try and go over to England at least every 18 months. And
Yep.
then I go down to Melbourne at least twice a year, sometimes more. I'm
Yep.
trying, because one of the things that the neurologist said to me when I was diagnosed, I mean,
Hmm.
he was fairly pragmatic and probably a little bit brusque, really, but at least he
Okay.
was, honest. And he said,
Honor.
look, you'll have 5 good years, you'll have the honeymoon years. And he said, by the time you're 80, you'll have dementia.
Oh, wow.
So
Gosh.
that was a bit confronting. And then he said,
Yeah.
look, so he said, you do as much as you can while you can. And I said, well, I want to travel. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just
Yeah.
doing as much travel while I can
Yep.
and, as and when I
Perfect.
can. And
Yes.
yeah, and we'll cross the dementia bridge if and when it ever
That's
surfaces.
right. Yeah, yeah. I think the if is a big thing as well. But yeah, okay. Well, that's good. Just doing and living your best life right now.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also really keen that I've got a lovely subtropical garden, so I spend a lot of time in the garden. We've got palm trees and
Amazing.
yuccas,
Oh,
and
oh, lovely.
uh, so that keeps me busy as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
it keeps me active. I do a lot of outdoor work.
Yeah, great. Do I remember you saying in one of the comments when you're in Melbourne that your grandchildren exercised along with you to one of our classes?
Yeah, they do. They love it. They
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
enjoy
How
it.
do they go with Lawrence Patterns?
Oh, well, they actually find them quite challenging. I think
Yeah,
initially
well
they
they
thought,
are.
"Oh, this will be
Yes.
easy peasy," but
Yeah.
yeah, that it took them a little while to sort of, get a grip on what she was asking them to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Oh,
even have the
wow.
dog joining in with me as well.
Oh,
They've got
really?
a dog, a
Okay.
Labrador dog, and he usually,
Okay.
come up and try and sit on my feet or sit beside me.
Oh, that's great. Well, maybe when you're in Melbourne, you could check out Polly's classes as well, because her dog Cooper, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, you would have seen him. Yeah, he's pretty much a
absolutely.
staple.
Yeah.
He started just with making guest appearances, and then everybody went so wild for him. It's now he's got to be in every class. Oh, fantastic. When you were a social worker, Annabelle, were you in the hospital system or private system?
Well, I started off in mental health,
Okay.
and it's a bit of a joke about how my husband and I met.
Mm,
He's a lawyer by qualification. When he
okay.
came over to Australia, it was in the downturn, the big downturn in the economy, and
Yep.
he lost his job. So he
Oh
decided to
no.
go back to university and get a social work degree. And because
Ah,
he'd already had another degree, he could do it in 2 years. So part
okay.
of the second year you have to do a placement, and he was placed at Ralston Park Hospital, which is a mental health asylum in just out of Brisbane, and that was
Okay.
where I had my first job. And
Oh,
so we say, when people say, "Oh, how did you meet?" we say, "Oh, we met in a psychiatric facility,"
yeah.
which
Well, very
always
true.
which always makes for a good conversation starter.
Yeah.
So that's where I started my career at
Uh-huh.
Ralston Park. And that coincided with the beginnings of deinstitutionalisation for mental health patients. So I then worked in the
Uh-huh.
community for quite
Okay.
some time with an acute care team. Then I went down to the Gold Coast, was team leader
Mm-hmm.
down there. That
Mm-hmm.
involved a lot of travel. So I then
Yeah.
went into project work. And the
Okay.
last 30 years, I've been doing project work with
Okay.
which not direct clinical care, but doing a lot of patient safety, type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, great. And when did you retire?
I retired on February the 23rd, 2023.
Okay. Wow.
And I don't know how I ever had time for work.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. So there was no twiddling your thumbs. You just sort of filled all of those hours with all sorts of amazing things.
Absolutely. My sort of treat to myself when I retired was I'd
Hmm.
already had a holiday organised to go over to New Zealand because my mother died a few years ago and she left her home
Okay.
to me. So I've got
Oh,
a
wow.
and I rent that property out. And I've
Okay.
been going over to New Zealand for quite some time. So
Yeah.
I was planning to retire in the middle of 23, but
Yeah.
when I got my diagnosis, I just brought that forward by a few
Forward.
months.
Yeah.
So I flew out to New Zealand on the day I retired, and then I
Yeah.
came back for 3 days, and then I flew over to England.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
I was away for 8 weeks, which was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Oh, well, I know we're at time, Annabelle. I could keep talking to you all night, but I don't want to keep you because I'm sure you have a full Friday ahead of you. But something I always ask participants is, well, firstly, is there anything else that you would like us to know about you and, that to introduce to our community? I know it's a very general, open question, but
Well, my accent probably is intriguing to a number of people. I
hmm.
was born in New Zealand and I'm a very proud Kiwi girl.
Hmm.
Emigrated to Australia at the end of 1988. So I've
Okay.
got a bit of an Australian twang to my accent as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
Interestingly, when I'm over in the UK, I'm often recognised as both. Some
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, you come from New Zealand," or "Oh, you come from Australia."
Yeah.
Sometimes people think that I come from Canada, which is a bit left field. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
why my voice sounds a little sounds a little bit strange.
yeah,
And I'm just so honoured to have been asked by you to do an interview. That was it. It was
oh, of
really,
course.
I was just chuffed. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It's sometimes, we talk about like we have these community members on YouTube, but it's like kind of bringing you over to like a little bit more into the fold, I should say, with like, hey, you want to do you want to have a Zoom and then moving over to email, and it's just so nice to to strengthen that connection because it's like we're not hanging out every day, but you're hanging out with PFP 4 days a week. So yeah, it's so nice to know more about you as well. If you could summarize like what impact has Powerful Parkinson's had on your life and yeah, anything else you want to share about your connection with our organization at the moment?
I think just as a precursor, I think the only thing that has been demonstrated to slow the progression of Parkinson's so far is exercise.
Hmm.
So I guess very early on in the piece, I realized that I needed to exercise every
Yeah,
day and I
yeah,
needed to do something that was going to be motivating and actually motivated me to do that. So Power for Parkinson's has really provided me with tools to do that. I mean, it's something that is just part of my everyday, practice. and I
Yeah.
really look forward to it. Doesn't matter whether I feel like it or not, I do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good.
to have Lauren or Polly, smiling faces, they get
Yeah.
you into the groove so quickly. And the choice of
Absolutely.
music Lauren uses is just fabulous.
Oh,
It sort
that's
of,
good.
gets you going. And
Yeah.
yes, I would highly recommend Power for Parkinson's exercise classes. Absolutely fantastic. They've been my absolute salvation.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so great to hear.